Hey everybody, this is Rydo, and we're looking at the new expansion for Hearthstone, the Boomsday project. So we can look at the cards if we go over to the collection and click crafting mode, and then include uncrafted cards, and then come over here to filter to Boomsday. And last time we looked at the rogue card, both the rogue and the priest cards seem to not really synergize, which I guess tells me that the rogue and priest cards were pretty good character classes already, so they didn't need a lot of help. So now we're going to do the Shaman, which is pronounced Shaman, not Shaman. I looked it up. So let's look at the card. First one we have is a 0 mana spell. It's a common spell called Beakered Lightning, which I guess is the idea of bottled lightning. I don't know why you specifically need to change the name there. I know several of the game's names are changed to either be funny or just to avoid copyright, but I seriously doubt that bottled lightning is like owned by Magic the Gathering or something, and you can't have a bottled lightning card. There's some weirdness there because I believe some of the employees who worked on Magic the Gathering have now moved on to Hearthstone. And Hearthstone does have a more family-friendly appeal to that. Don't get me talking about the nude mod. So it's a 0 mana spell, deal 1 damage to all minions, overload 2. So overload is a special keys phrase for the Shaman. There are cards that benefit from overloading, but at the expense of locking mana crystals. So you play this on your second turn, and then on your third turn you'll only be able to play 1 mana crystal at all. If you play this on your first turn, on your second turn you won't be able to play anything that costs any mana. So generally speaking, these cards need to be played a little later than they would seem like it. Even though this is a 0 mana spell, you'd probably want to play it somewhere closer to the third or fourth turn to do more damage to multiple minions, and because you would want to have some minions that benefit from overloading. Let's see, next we have a 1 mana spell called the Voltaic Burst that is summon 2 1/1 sparks with rush, overload 1. Rush means they can attack a minion but not the hero in the turn that they've been summoned. Again, this is later than it seems. You really wouldn't want to play this on the first turn because you're not likely to have 2 minions on the field that you need to rush and attack, or 1 minion on the field that has 2 health that you would want to rush and attack. And yeah, it's interesting they're adding more overload cards. Maybe some of the older overload cards are going in the wild, so they're just replacing, or maybe they just want to make it easier to make an overload deck. I don't see a lot of people playing overload decks, so clearly it's not an overpowered strategy right now. Next we have a 2 mana spell called Elementary Reaction. Draw a card, copy it if you've played an elemental last turn. So definitely you could make an elemental deck for Shaman, so this would synergize with that. I guess it would duplicate your card pretty cheaply. You wouldn't really know what card you're duplicating though, so this probably has less value than you would think. You probably could do better with just more elemental minions in your deck, which is exactly what this is. A 2 mana 2 attack 2 health elemental minion called Menacing Nimbus. Nimbus being the name of the cloud that the Monkey King flew on, also being the name of the cloud that Goku from Dragon Ball flew on, because Dragon Ball is based on the Monkey King myth. Battlecry, add a random elemental to your hand. Random elemental to your hands, not a terrible thought, but it's a little random. Certainly, it's not the tightest, best strategy you could think of. A lot of times, though, in Hearthstone, it's just, do you have a better card or do you not? If you have a better card, play it in your deck. If you don't, live with what you've got. Or pay to win and buy a bunch of packs, and I do not recommend that. As somebody who has been, I believe, 100% free to play in this game, I may have bought a welcome bundle on my main account. That is the only money I've ever spent on this after years and years of playing the game, and I think that's probably all it really deserves. Next we have a 2 mana, 2 attack, 3 health attack minion called Omega Mind. This is the second Omega class character we've seen, so it seems like there's only going to be 2 or 3 specifically in this expansion, which almost certainly means that there needs to be an Omega class character introduced in the next expansion for all the heroes that didn't get one in this expansion, which isn't a terrible idea to stretch out expansion ideas across 2 or 3 expansions, although that's gonna fall apart when those cards start falling into the wild sets in a few years. Omega Mind has a battle cry. If you have 10 mana crystals, your spell will have lifesteal this turn. This is a really weird card because that pretty much only means cards that do damage. Because if you have a spell that draws a card, it's not going to give you life because you drew a card. If you have a spell that does anything other than cause damage, it's not going to give you lifesteal. You're not going to be able to heal yourself and then do that. And I'm not sure how good this card really is, frankly, because I'm going to have to find a spell that really is worth casting. Because you'd have to play this on the 10th turn, then you'd have 8 mana to spare. I don't know what cards work with that really well. Anyways, moving on, we have a 3 mana, 3 attack, 3 health elemental minion called Electra Storm Surge. Battlecry, your next your next spell this turn casts twice. So I guess you have potentially a synergy here, where if you play this and this, then you have 5 mana to cast a spell. But what 5 mana spell? Next we have a 4 mana, 3 attack, 4 health elemental. It seems like we're getting all elementals. They're definitely filling out elementals with the Shaman class, and that makes a lot of sense. It's kind of weird elementals weren't specifically limited to the Shaman class and the Mage class, but they tried something like that in Mean Streets of Gadgetzan, where specific cards could only be played in certain categories of 3 of the 9 character classes. It seemed like it was just too complicated of a concept to keep up. So yes, 4 mana, 3 attack, 4 health elemental Storm Chaser. Battlecry, draw a spell from your deck that costs 5 or more. This card would not synergize with playing this and this at the same turn. In fact, it wouldn't even synergize with this, because by the time you played this and this, you would only have 3 mana anyways. So you'd practically have to play this on the 9th turn and hope you get just a 5 mana spell. Next we have a 4 mana, 3 attack, 5 health elemental minion called Thunderhead. After you play a card with Overload, summon 2 1/1 Sparks with Rush. This is an excellent card. Very, very good for an Overload deck. And if I'm not playing a Murloc deck with the Shaman, I'm probably just playing an Overload deck with the Shaman. I don't have any special affinity to want to play them otherwise. Next we have a 6 mana spell called Eureka. Summon a copy of a random minion from your hand. That might be good. You could certainly manipulate your hand so there's only like a 10 mana minion in your hand, and then you play this for 6 and save yourself 4 mana. But I think more often than not, this is a card that doesn't have enough value to be in a deck. And then finally we have a 7 mana legendary spell, the Stormbringer. Transform your minions into random legendary minions. And I definitely could see this working with a Murloc deck. A bunch of really cheap Murlocs getting turned into legendary minions might be a good idea. Maybe not. So how does this synergize with the standard deck? Your quest is to summon 10 Murlocs to get Megafins, so pretty much you're playing a Murloc deck on that. Didn't see really anything to promote playing a Murloc. I don't think that card helps, but the Overload card might. These Flame Tongue Totems are still pretty good. You could certainly make an elemental deck, but I don't have any previous cards that really synergize with elementals. This spell casts twice, so the real question is, well, first there's the Unbound Elemental. Whenever you play an Overload, gain +1/+1. So this definitely is a linchpin of the Overload deck. But coming over here, the next spell you cast twice could be this, Bloodlust. Bloodlust being a very good card. So then that would give all the minions on your field +6 for this turn. Okay. And that's in connection with, let's see, this card. Which I assume, since, yeah, this is a legendary, so you could only play it once anyways. And in connection with this card, your spell has lifesteal. No, Bloodlust does not work with that. So what cards would make sense at the 5th level? Deal 15 damage randomly split amongst all other minions, all minions. Yeah, that would give you lifesteal and heal you, but it wouldn't kill the enemy hero. This hero replacement character doesn't really do anything. Yeah, it doesn't feel like there is a spell that makes sense. And unless I'm forgetting one, I don't believe there's any neutral spells in the game at all. Deal 3 damage to all minions. After you play a minion, add a random Shaman spell to your hand. So yeah, this one is a good Overload card too, a pretty decent one. So it'd have to be a 4 mana or less spell, and while Lightning Storm is a fine spell, it's not damage to the hero. We have this, deal 5 damage, Overload. So, best case scenario, you play the Mega to give this card lifesteal. You play the other card to have it activate twice. It attacks the hero, does 10 damage, and you get 10 healing. And that is an 8th turn. No, it's still a 10th or 10th turn play because you have to have 10 mana crystals. That just doesn't really synergize. as a concept. Yes, once again, I like the previous two characters. These cards aren't feeling like they're doing too much different. And if you look at the wild cards, not too much changes. You have more cards that synergize with Overload. You have more spells that might work. Some more Murlocs. Maybe some more mechs. Not that there were even any. I don't think there were any magnetic cards or mech related things in this new expansion. Anyways. See. Here you have whenever your spells deal damage, restore that much health to your hero. So you could potentially play that with the lifesteal Omega card and double your health that way, but you're still very much limited on finding cards that actually deal damage. And Shaman just doesn't seem to have any. Not at the higher levels anyways. Alright, well, we've got 2 more character classes to go, and then the neutral cards, and the neutral cards are certainly going to be a long experience. Once again, seems like small incremental steps forwards as far as cards, just filling in gaps, if even doing that much. They certainly seem like they're committed to adding 10 specific character class cards for every character class. And that's probably all they're really doing for a lot of cards. I imagine a lot of these could be neutral. It's questionable whether we need any character class cards. If they really thought about it, I wouldn't be upset if they put 50-60% of all the character class cards in the neutral category and just let you play with them anywhere. Anyways, that's going to be it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. When you subscribe, click the notification bell. If you want to friend or follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, Google+, Steam, or Battle.net, all of those links are down below in the description box. And if you want to support me, friend me on Steam and gift me a game or a gift card. You can look at my wish list to see some games that I'm thinking about covering. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.